All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Let the Madness Begin, LTMB Live. I'm your co-host, Will Gaillard.
And I'm Mike White.
Hope everybody out there is doing very well. This is this is November 21st now, Tuesday. A lot has happened, a lot has transpired over the weekend since our last broadcast on Thursday. Lots to delve into. Let's make sure the stream is working properly.
What's going on, Facebook people?
Yeah, what's up, Facebook?
Let us know if you can hear us clearly and if the audio is sufficient.
Right. YouTube, let's see, YouTube, make sure everything's going all right on YouTube. Sounding good. Thank you, Tara Braid.
Appreciate it.
Diesel D's, what's up, man?
DD.
Another scandal.
Another scandal.
Yeah, we're going.
You know, man, how about this, yo? We're going to lean into this one. All right.
Yeah, we got some stuff to say.
We got some stuff to say. We're gonna lean into it.
It's not gonna please everybody.
Yeah. We're just gonna warn you right now. We already know it's gonna ruffle some feathers.
Yeah, but I mean, we ain't here to please everybody. We're here to stand up for what? Logic and reason.
Logic and reason, no matter what. No matter what. Logic and reason, no matter what. Because that's the only way we can have a constructive conversation and seek solutions. Sometimes
we've been forced to defend horrible figures like Hillary Clinton
because of people being irrational.
Yeah, we gotta remain objective no matter what topic is at hand.
And this particular topic we'll dive into as our lead story. We really weren't planning on covering.
No.
We really weren't planning on dealing with this.
And then it just escalated. And people were talking about it, like I said, over the weekend. It developed, I think, on Friday or maybe Thursday night. And it just has snowballed into something that we have to address.
So now we got to address it now because we kind of been following it very closely, and I've been kind of like in a battle with. I'm not going to name the other. I don't want to call him progressive, but you know who he is. I kind of been on a kind of battle with him about this topic, trying to call him out.
Yeah.
He's been non-responsive. Well, he responded, but it was kind of whack. But so kind of being drugged into this is unfortunate.
Yeah.
And maybe what we will say tonight may disappoint you, but in the end, all we seek to do is provide clarity and, make sure people's heads are on straight, including ours.
So let's go ahead and dig into it. First story, of course, is surrounding the Jordan Chariton allegation of sexual assault, rape, and like we said, it developed over late last week, Thursday night, I believe. Friday is when Jordan put out an article on Medium, and he detailed what had happened on a night in question in a hotel room. And before we actually get into the details, let's say that, of course, 'tis the season for outing sexual predators. There's been like a movement that we've been covering, the multiple different men that have been accused of wrongdoing, sexual misconduct or sexual assault, harassment, anything like that.
Everything under that umbrella.
Yeah, we've talked about it all. And we've talked about it in an objective way, because let the facts guide you, let the evidence guide you. So I think first we have to say is, in this particular case with Jordan Chariton, we don't have a dog in this fight.
Correct.
Have you ever met the guy?
I've never met Jordan Chariton. I don't really actually follow a lot of what he does on TYT. The Young Turks, or his own little kind of what you call it, like a sub entrepreneurial
just like
project,
an extension
of TYT, and that's Truth Against the Machine.
Right. And TYT politics.
Too, I really didn't follow it. I would like catch him every now and then, and then like I caught him, and mainly it was due to conflict, like with H.A. Goodman, and then with Tim Black. But really. I don't really follow him. I know of him. I know what he does, but I don't really follow him like that.
So I've met this guy one time. I've met Jordan one time, and that was in Detroit last year at a Jill Stein rally. We spent all of about maybe 2 minutes talking. We took a picture together. That was it. I haven't had any contact with him prior or since. So again, we don't have a dog in this fight. All we have is the evidence. You know, what the people that were there are saying. That's what we have to rely on. So another case that we can kind of talk about, to where I think you could say that we might have some bias, but still it would be about the facts, is Jameis Winston. We both of us like the school FSU, Florida State University, and have for years. He's an alum of Florida State. He's was a star QB there. And there's a new case where he was alleged to have groped a Uber driver that was driving around. He denies the allegation. You know, the claimant says that he was the only one in the car, but he says that there were other people in the car. So right now we don't really know what to make of that situation. But that would be something more like, okay, we have a kind of history with him, even though we don't know him personally. It's still like, you know, we kind of like the guy, but still in that case we would be one to say, hey, if he's guilty, then damn him, you know, like if he's guilty,
because we
ain't with him.
I don't know. He doesn't, like, whether he's guilty or innocent wouldn't affect my life one bit.
No,
this individual that we followed and that we liked as an athlete,
right?
Him being guilty or innocent,
because we don't know the man as a person.
Exactly. I don't like.
Yeah, but like I said, in this Jordan Chariton case, we have no ties to the man. So let's go into it. So he detailed his case as, you know, this was some months ago, where and he didn't really, I don't think he even used names in his first article. He didn't use names, but the names are, of course, it was Jordan Chariton, a woman by the name of Chelsea Lyons, another woman by the name of Carly Hammond, and his cameraman Ty. What's his Ty
Bayless?
Ty Bayless.
They call him Tommy.
Yeah,
Tommy T or something like that.
So they were all in the hotel, and if you haven't read his stories, if you haven't seen the video with Tim Black and Carly Hammond last night, but as his account goes, they were in a hotel, they were drinking a little bit, he went to sleep, he got woken up, Carly Hammond was naked, and he I guess proceeded to he proceeded to
sexually engage. They proceeded to sexually engage with one another,
right, consensually. It was consensual, and then at some moment she, I guess, she made a sound, and he became aware that she was uncomfortable with what was going on, so he stopped. You know, he asked what was going on. They talked for a while, and that was pretty much the end of, like, apparently
that encounter. Spilled out into the lobby.
Yeah. After that, sometime after that, maybe a week or two, something like that, she came to New York. They spent a few days together. They were intimate again in New York, and then he said what really dissolved the relationship was that he said he wanted kids, but she didn't, and then that's when it broke up. And he didn't mention that she was married as well. I believe that he mentioned that in the article. Anyway, but it seemed like he was trying to get ahead of the story, because he learned that, you know, he felt like people were trying to come after him, and it was going to be coming out soon. He let TYT know what was going on. He said he has proof, some screenshots of some conversation between him and Carly,
and conversation between him and some other Truth Against the Machine,
right?
Employees,
people that were
volunteers and stuff like that,
come at him, I guess, and trying to make this into something like a case of sexual assault. So anyway, that got put out there. Then another article got put out it was on HuffPost, and the author was Christian.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to deal with some trolls today who don't really know us and who are already popping off at the mouth. But go ahead.
Anyway, so article by Kristen Chocolus, and he had some quotes from Carly, and it was kind of a different situation. It detailed an account of sexual assault. Really, it said that she wasn't comfortable with what was going on. I guess she never gave the go ahead, and she kicked him away to, I guess, try to get him away from her at the time that this sexual encounter was happening. There were a lot of holes in that story. that instantaneously, you know, when we were reading it, was like.
And just to be clear, we actually read that one first.
Yeah, we did read that one first.
We actually read the account that was funneled through this particular journalist or author.
Right.
Funneled through this particular author from Carla. We actually read that first.
Right.
We wanted to read her account first because my position is I could care less about what someone says that's good about Jordan Chariton.
Right.
Because it's not about whether he's a good person or not. I want to see the negative stuff about him because we're trying to judge whether he sexually assaulted her. That's what we're trying to judge. Yeah. So all the evidence is going to be negative. So we have to judge these accounts for what they are. So it's, to me, it would be better to see those first and ignore any kind of positive statements that men or women had about him that worked with him.
Or him himself even.
You know what I'm saying? Or him himself. Right. And, you know, me personally, the way, like I said, we both read Jordan's too. And the way Jordan's article came off to me was too clean. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like he was trying to embellish. He tried to abbreviate how much alcohol he was drinking, and
how much everyone was
drinking. I just felt it was too clean. I already knew he was trying to hide something, but what he was trying to hide became clear once the sexual assault allegations, because in conjunction with that, you had a lot of allegations and accusations of sexual harassment, like improper behavior. Just a whole slew of things that would indicate that he was creating a toxic environment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm inclined to believe that that's true. I don't know to what extent, but I'm actually inclined to believe that is true.
The thing about Facebook up and ended for some reason.
Yeah. So we'll try to get back on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll try to get that back up. But anyway, what were we saying? Okay, yeah. So we don't know what. Yeah, we, like you were saying, we don't know to what extent it's true that he was fostering a toxic environment, that there were cases of sexual harassment at the workplace or with his, underlings, people that worked for him at Truth Against the Machine. We've heard a lot of people say that there were cases of sexual assault, but we haven't seen anybody actually come forward and provide a first-hand case.
We've seen that
they experienced.
Second and third hand, like this person has come to me and told me that he treated her like this, or he said this, or he was being improper.
Right.
Like I said, I actually don't discount that. We're just trying to establish to what extent that kind of behavior exists.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's all.
No doubt.
All this stuff came out at the same time.
Yeah. So after after the HuffPost article came out, that's when it was announced that Jordan was fired. Actually, now we didn't even know that until a couple days later.
Like yesterday.
Yeah, but he was actually fired, I believe, on Friday.
The next day.
Yeah, the next day. So he's no longer with TYT. And he got fired over this, and he put out another article that was on Medium, just stating his case and saying that TYT didn't really even look at the evidence that he had, the screenshots that he had. I guess they felt like they just wanted to sever this relationship. Maybe they believed that he was making them look bad. Whatever the case, like I said, they got rid of Jordan. He's no longer working for them. So it wasn't until last night that we actually heard the accuser's word, Carly Hammond. She was on Tim Black's program last night, and they spoke for over 2 hours about this. And they spoke about, they set up the I guess the backstory in depth, telling how she met Jordan and I guess like all the events leading up to that. And then she actually got into the details of the case herself. So, and that's where we are right now. Now, both of us watched it, and I think I guess one of the problems that I found with the video, with her own account, was that what I heard wasn't sexual assault as it relates to Jordan Chariton. Now, as her work, because we don't even have to really deal with too in depth about what Jordan shared. We don't really have to go there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what she
like
said.
I said,
happened.
because to me, it's not really about him.
No, yeah, it's about what she says happened. So if we're analyzing what she says happened and taking this at face value, let's go ahead and do that. So she said that, you know, they were in the room drinking, and Jordan went to sleep. Jordan went to the bed, went to sleep. They were in the hot tub. All three of them were, I guess, near the hot tub. Her top came off. She took it off. There was some intimacy, maybe some kissing with Chelsea, and at some point she left, went into the bed, but she took her drawers off, so she got into the bed naked, under the covers. I guess wrapped herself up, and Jordan was still sleeping. At some point, she doesn't know how long she was maybe sleeping for, but Chelsea came and she said she was being very aggressive with her, ripped the covers off, was holding her arms down, her hands down, holding them over her head, and she was just proceeding to kiss her, and I mean, like I said, she was restraining her, she was ignoring her no, and then she forced Carly to, I guess, lay there while she performed oral sex on her. It was after that Carly got off, or not Carly, but Chelsea got off. She said Ty got on, but but nothing happened. She said she was really scared that something was going to happen, but she said nothing happened with him. He got off, I guess, soon after, because maybe he saw the look on her face, how she was very uncomfortable with it. That's what she maintained, or that's what she assumed.
Yeah.
After that, that's when Chelsea woke up Jordan and said something to the effect of,
like, here, have her.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
She's beautiful. Take her.
Have fun with her.
Have fun.
And that's when the encounter with Jordan started. And she said that she was just laying there, and Jordan came. I guess he was touching her, kissing her, and then he performed oral sex on her as well. And then after some period of time, she kind of pushed him away with her foot, rolled over, kind of curled up, and started crying. That's when Jordan appeared to be concerned and panicked and asked her what was going on. Is she okay? You know, what's the deal? And that's when it stopped.
Mm-hmm. They went out, something happened, and then they were talking for 30 minutes, I think. Yes. Jordan said.
Yeah. And she, like I said, and that part of the story matches up with both of them.
Right.
How they started talking, then it spilled out into the lobby where they talked even more. So now there are, like I said, her account of what happened in that room are a little bit different than what Jordan has shared, and even what Chelsea has shared as well, because she was on with
Claudia
Stauber just days ago, and she shared her account, and it seemed to mirror what Jordan was saying, how it wasn't Chelsea that woke him up, it was actually Ty that woke him up. And Chelsea said that Carly wanted Ty to wake him up so that he could get up and, I guess, be whatever.
With her. Yeah.
So, what do you think now? While I try to get Facebook up, what do you think?
Well, I think this is not just about one situation in one room. This is a saga, and I think maybe that's the confusing part to everyone. I think if we're going to talk about people making a rush to judgment, I think it happens on both sides. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be people who defend Jordan Chariton unconditionally for whatever reason, maybe because they knew a better side of him. And like I said, I'm inclined to believe that he was doing some player stuff. He was riding dirty. You don't have a jacuzzi jamboree where jokers are getting butt naked or like some sort of orgy of some sorts. You don't have that out of the blue.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it happens all the time. I was talking to somebody online, and they were telling me, I never found the video, but they were telling me that I guess during one of Jordan's broadcasts, he said something live about wanting to talk about like going and finding dates in the area. So he was somewhat open about it. So I'm inclined to believe that he was trying to create a little players club, or maybe like his own little mini Playboy Mansion type atmosphere, and looking for playmates. And there may have been some women within Truth Against the Machine that he didn't mess with. That's why I don't think any of those women's I guess their approval and their respect for him, they don't matter, because there's always going to be women that maybe somebody who's a harasser doesn't bother. So I'm not going to really pay attention to them. But the problem I have is, I think what people are doing is, I think they're reconstituting their own trauma, in that they're like relitigating their own experiences and then superimposing that onto this one. So this situation like becomes a representative placeholder for their experience. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they instantly, no matter what, are going to support who they perceive as the victim, no matter what, because either they were victims too, or they have made a promise to support and be advocates for victims unconditionally without looking at the story. Now, you know, when we're reminded, I guess, to listen to the accuser's experience, like, you know, and trust an accuser's experience. What are we talking about, though? Like when the word experience is used, what are we talking about? We're talking about a story, because no allegation comes empty. It always comes with a narrative. It always comes with a story. Like, it doesn't matter if you're talking about Weinstein, you're talking about Al Franken, you're talking about Louis C.K., you're talking about Spacey. All of those accounts and all of their accusers came with a story. It wasn't an empty allegation. You can even go back to Anita Hill. Yeah. That man, Anita Hill had like so many detailed accounts.
Yeah, and it's all about what the claimant can provide. What
they can provide,
that they experience.
We're not
just an empty claim.
It's not just an empty claim.
Something happened to me. I'm not going to provide any details.
Look at someone's experience. What you were saying is, we ought to look at the story. The allegation is not empty. It's not just I was sexually assaulted, or I was raped, or I was abused. It always comes with this happened, this event happened, this person said this to me, this person did this to me. And so we can't ignore that. You see what I'm saying? We can't ignore the story, because that's how we get a narrative. That's how we come to a determination whether we should support somebody. Okay? That's what determines whether we should support somebody, and it shouldn't be unconditional based on what generally happens, because I think false rape accusations are very rare. They are a rarity. That is not debatable. Not only is it not debatable, it's not hard to acknowledge, but that shouldn't like suspend our ability to make observational judgments about a specific case, because there are certain things that are true in general about a subject. All right, there are certain things that are true about a subject, that's in general, but they may not be true in a specific situation. And especially if the storyline of a specific situation doesn't parallel those general truths, those situations, those general truths apply to. And if they don't parallel the stories that those general truths apply to, then we kind of have to dig into it, because people have a rational fear here, and I will acknowledge it as a rational fear. And there's a fear that maybe some allegations may be come to light that they're not true, and that will maybe compromise current allegations and future allegations. So I can acknowledge that that is a rational fear, because people who abuse their power will then kind of use that as a defense shield to continue their behavior. So I can understand that being a rational fear that people have. But that rational fear will end up creating the same situation that they are trying to avoid.
So let me.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so,
you see what I'm saying? Because
yeah.
if they don't cross their T's and dot their I's on this, you might ended up with egg on your face, and then kind of compromising, I guess, your advocacy in a bit.
So about this specific case, and it's not just us that when we were hearing Carly's story, it's not just us that had, I guess, some problems with, like I said, what's being detailed as sexual assault as it relates to Jordan Chariton. There were a number of people in the comments sharing that same problem. You know, how does the sexual assault actually apply here? And at the, you know, so she attests to Jordan being asleep when this was going on with Chelsea, and then he is woken up. Now, who wakes him up? You know, like I said, there's a difference of statements. Who wakes him up? But at the end, that doesn't really matter too much. He was woken up. Everybody agrees with that. He was woken up. He comes to. She's naked in the bed at this time, and he starts. You know, he starts messing with her. He starts touching her. He starts kissing her. He performs oral sex on her. Now, there are some people that believe, like, hey, he went too far because, hey, he didn't get the go ahead. He obviously assaulted her, and I can tell you, like, I have a problem with that narrative, because if we're being honest, and this is what I said last night too, if we're being honest, sexual encounters do not start with a question. That's not reality. Sexual encounters do not start with the, can I do this? Can I touch this? Can I kiss this? Can I put this here? Can I do this? That does not happen. When two people know each other, it does not happen. It starts with action, and then it's reciprocated, it elevates, and it just keeps going. It doesn't start with a question. So I think to put that standard on this, to say that, like, he should have asked, I think to put that standard on, people are not being real with themselves and how sex is actually, how sex actually comes to be. Now, according to Chelsea, though, Jordan did ask, because when he woke up, he saw them messing with each other. So then when he came to, he asked if he could join in or whatever. And so I guess it depends who you believe on.
Yeah,
in that case,
I think that's irrelevant.
Yeah, that's irrelevant. But just taking the information in from both sides, that she was naked and he was in the bed, and then he started messing with her, I can't get the sexual assault from that. Now, did he did he ignore? No. Was he aggressive with her? Nobody has said so. It seems that the first suggestion that she was uncomfortable, he actually did stop, and he asked, what was going on, is she okay, and and things of that nature. So while it's very possible that she did not want this sexual encounter to happen with Jordan, that doesn't actually mean that Jordan is guilty of sexual assault. And to truth be told, if anybody is guilty of sexual assault, if we are believing Carly Hammond's words, and we're taking them 100% face value, if anybody's guilty of sexual assault, it would be Chelsea, because it was Chelsea who was rough with her, aggressive, and restraining her, and forced her to sit there while she performed oral sex on her. So that's the part where I'm coming to confusion at, because I don't get how the level of trauma has reached a level where it is past the level of trauma for Chelsea. Like Jordan, like as it concerns Jordan Chariton, her trauma is way up here. It's all about Jordan Chariton. She's traumatized by what Jordan Chariton did. But it seems like what Chelsea did is being lost, and nobody's actually talking about that. If she's actually being honest about what happened, it is Chelsea Lyons,
right, that
is the predator.
Yes. But before I talk, I just want to acknowledge somebody. in the chat because she did say, "Hey fellas," and that's a Noah.
What's
hey,
up, Noah?
Thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate your voice. Oh, hi, Julie too. Julie said hi. This like I said, this one is hard for me. This one is hard for me. Because I look at a situation and I don't judge it just off of like what's presented from all sides per se. I think it's more important to judge a situation from the side of the accuser. Like we said, we read the account that was funneled through the author, the journalist Christian first. Mm-hmm. And honestly, yes, I watched Chelsea's interview. I would say I wasn't that engaged. I was just there to, oh, what does she have to say? I was there to see what she had to say, but I wasn't really that engaged. I was more engaged with Carly's interview.
No doubt.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think it was important to listen to how she felt that night progressed. Mm-hmm. And it is very important, I guess, to kind of piece together like what she describes, not just what she describes of the situation, how she describes her agency in that situation. And there were just too many red flags to me, because everything goes back to how she perceives events. Because remember, it's all about her perception. Even her perception as a victim, it's all about her perception. So I am tasked to go there with her as a victim and just assume so. And I am supposed to judge her agency and her actions too. And at every step, like I said, like the same criticism I had with Jordan, and I think that's important here. The same criticism I had with Jordan and reading his piece he was trying too hard to be the nice guy. He was embellishing himself as very respectful. We didn't drink that much. I knew he had something to hide. I just don't think I don't think he wanted to lose his job. But I think there was problematic people on all sides. And truth be told, I think Carly is problematic herself, because at every stage in that scenario, she downplayed or forgot how she got into situations, and she either downplayed or wasn't being completely forthright about her agency. And as if you actually paid attention to her body language during the interview, you can tell that. And I don't know why people want to twist themselves into pretzels to ignore that. Because every situation she just said, well, I don't know how I got, I guess it came off, my bottom came off or my top came off. She wasn't doing anything. She just found herself in these situations. You see what I'm saying? It was being done to her. You know what I'm saying? Everything was like, well, I ended up with Chelsea on top of me. I ended up somehow with my shirt off. My bottom got off somehow. Or it was like when I came to, Jordan was doing things to me. So everything, there was very convenient blackout spots. So am I to look at that, or am I to not look at that? You see what I'm saying? So like, I want to have a level of empathy at the same time. Want to be able to look at the situation so I can really determine what went on and what we're dealing with here. And from start to finish, this is not my account, this is Carly's account. From start to finish, she just finds herself in certain situations, and she doesn't acknowledge that she did anything. She doesn't really acknowledge that she did anything. Like, she didn't take off her top. She kind of didn't. She took off her bottom. Once she was interviewed, she kind of did say she took off her bottom, but she was very vague about like how it happened. She just said, "Oh, did they just end it off? I don't know how." And I can understand there was a lot of alcohol involved. You see what I'm saying?
I saw a lot of people in the comments, last night, and I actually didn't see people saying that she was lying, but throughout the days, there have been people saying that she's lying. And I don't think anybody really even has to go that far, especially now because we have heard her words last night, right? So for me, it doesn't have to be something to where I'm saying, well, she's lying about this, she's lying about that. In her own words, to me, I believe she is not detailing a case that is sexual assault against Jordan Chariton. That's to me. If anything, if her words are true, the sexual assault is leveled at Chelsea.
And again, and we are going straight off of her account.
Yeah,
so what are we to do? Words. Like, how are we supposed to judge this and not go according to her account? So if we are going according to her account, yes, and what she actually said occurred, we are still left wondering where the actual assault occurred.
And it would have started with Chelsea, because if it did start with Chelsea, Chelsea was also the person that woke up Jordan and got him involved. So this all started with Chelsea.
So if it all started with Chelsea,
if she's mad at Jordan because something happened between them, I can understand. I can understand her feeling that I didn't want that to happen.
Right.
But as to like put it so much of this on Jordan, and it's like Chelsea is just like, she's just out there, she's not taking the brunt of any of this. That's what confuses me, because according to her own words, it starts with Chelsea.
Now, for the record, we sure as hell, like, don't approve of Jordan Chariton, and TYT was right on the money for getting rid of this dude. Like, how does he look as a boss and as a leader, you know, sleeping with his underlings and kind of essentially disrespecting his position as a journalist? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, see, like that part, yeah, I don't really care about that part, because this can make TYT look bad, and to sever that connection, I understand him, because like you said, if he's a boss and he's fostering this environment to where it's sloppy behavior, so it's like sloppy. It's like he is responsible for that aspect of it. But if you're talking about like a criminal charge, like this is sexual assault, this is rape,
and see, that's my problem with him being.
That's not what I got.
That's my problem with him being dumbfounded, like. Because he wrote another piece that today, I think, you know, about like trying to put it on TYT's knee-jerk reaction type. Like, I'm like, dude.
Well, I guess he's thinking like, if I can prove my innocence, then I should be good.
But it's
the image part of it as well.
It's the image part of it as well. Like, regardless of whether the sexual assault is true or not, I'm like, dude. I'm like, you were obviously engaging in certain behaviors that were not befitting of somebody who was in your position. So I'm like, yeah. I'm like, if anybody or any person in a position of power or a position of responsibility is engaging with his employees like this, then obviously there's some stuff going on. That's why I said there's most likely some credence to, you know, he wasn't such a together individual. Maybe he was an asshole. He's probably a douchebag too. So again, that's a separate story.
That is separate.
That is a separate story.
There have been a lot of people, like I said, there have been multiple people saying that how he fostered a very hostile working environment, and that the power dynamic was uncomfortable, and that they've heard different accounts of sexual harassment. And look, I encourage anybody that has a first-hand account, if this actually happened to you, then yeah, you should come forward and detail your story and if he is guilty of what people are saying he's guilty of, I mean, like, yeah, be done with this dude. You know, he should get all the penalty that is coming to him. But right now, it's just being thrown out there. Not in first-hand accounts, but this is like second and third-hand accounts. It's just coming from somebody that heard it from somebody. You know, it's like this dude, like his reputation, his character is taking a beating, but nothing has come forward in terms of like any kind of hard evidence that supports that beating that is taken right now.
And again, we're sure it's out there, but we're not completely sure about the degree.
Yeah, like I said, there's like I said, it's just being thrown out there right now. There's nothing that we can actually, there's nothing anybody can sink their teeth into in terms of actual evidence. It's only just like supposed as of right now. So the only thing that I believe he is guilty of is his role in that event as a boss, fostering that type of environment, the sloppy behavior, of course, And like I said, I don't begrudge TYT for severing that connection because it can make them look bad.
It can make them look bad. Yeah. And like I've told many people, there are probably plenty of other people that are more than capable to continue his work or whatever work that Truth Against the Machine was doing. Mm-hmm. So it's more or less like a good riddance thing. Yeah. You know, bye-bye, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like I said, of course, I mean, this is a unfortunate situation for, you know, for all parties involved to be in this type of public, you know, situation. You know, his reputation, his career has been jeopardized because of this. Whether or not he is guilty of sexual assault or not, of course, like I said, his involvement in the whole thing, you know, he does bear some culpability for it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that essentially wraps it up for me. I mean, yeah, he bears some responsibility for creating a situation like that. And whatever other situations he created within Truth Against the Machine, I think the major question is he guilty of sexual assault? And I think that is where the most of the conflict happens with a lot of people within our circle, and a lot of people, you know, we talk to. There's a bit of a disagreement. And like I said,
a bit of a disagreement.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
that's an understatement.
Sorry, there's a lot of disagreement.
Yeah.
And like I said, you know, obviously my intent is to, you know, from the jump, just believe her accusation, believe her allegation. But like I said, with allegations and accusations comes a narrative and a story. And again, from her own account, it doesn't sound like she denied Jordan Chariton in any kind of sexual engagement. She didn't deny. When she did,
he stopped.
He stopped. So again, like, there was no denial on her part. There was she didn't really explain how he forced himself.
Right. And that's the case.
She didn't explain that. And so that's the thing. She didn't explain that. So if she didn't explain that, then what are we to think?
That's like, see, that, like, right there is like, okay, and by her own words, she did attest to, like, that he sounded panicked at that time that she became uncomfortable, and that he asked what was going on, if she was okay. So like, that kind of just brings to my mind, like, so why wasn't that ensuing conversation, or even him being panicked, why wasn't that enough, like, for you to understand that he didn't, I guess in his mind, this was very consensual. You two knew each other. Like I said, you even attested that he was just waking up and he saw that you were naked in the bed. So it's like, I'm just saying, like, we have to understand that in sexual encounters, like,
when people who know each other,
especially when people know each other, and it's not like hey, can I do this to you?
And I've also heard people say, well, she was drunk and she wasn't able to give her consent. And I was like, well, everyone was drunk.
Everybody was drunk.
Everybody was drunk.
Yeah, we don't, and see, we cannot know how drunk each one of them were either. We know all of them were drinking by their own accounts. So it's like I said, from what I heard, I gotta stop. I can't go to sexual assault. That's not what I heard. Now, like I said, if what she says is true, then Chelsea Lyons would have to be the culprit. She would have to be the one that started this whole thing and started the sexual assault. That's just what it is for me.
And then we understand that there's going to be a lot of like disagreement with this, but
of course, yeah.
I don't know, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, you know, where we go from here. You know, it's like I said, he's been fired, so it doesn't sound like Carly's going to press charges. I mean, it didn't sound like that from last night.
It did not sound like that from last night. So, and again, I don't. You know, I thought about it, and you know, there's no need to get into the minutia of, you know, motives and why she did it. I truly don't care. Now, I think I don't want to waste time on that.
No.
But I don't think it's quite settled yet. That's why I think people need to hold their horses. And again,
like we're saying about the sexual harassment, if those cases actually do come forward, like actual detailed cases where the person's coming forward saying that this has happened to me, then that's something that we'll have to deal with at that time. But for right now, it's just we have nothing to grab onto. There's nothing tangible out there. It's just suspicion, really.
I wouldn't call it suspicion, just
well,
kind
from
of
us, from our end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just suspicion.
Oh,
on our end.
We're suspicious.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because
okay,
like I said, we have no evidence to to say, oh, well, that clearly
you
happened.
mean like a specifics, like he said this to me, he did this to me.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have that.
We were in the lobby and he said then did this, and we were in. Okay. All right.
The only thing, like I said, that we're dealing with is Carly's account.
Okay.
Not the other cases that's been.
And to be clear, those are two separate things.
Yeah. If you are guilty of sexual harassment, that doesn't necessarily mean you are guilty of sexual assault. We have to make that distinction. Some people, I'm sure, don't want to hear that. Some people will say probably that is a pattern of behavior, and of course that means that that will lead him to do things like what he did to Carly, but I think that's going too far. No,
because what we have to do is we have to do the same thing that we do for victims of sexual assault. Because what do we do for victims of sexual assault? Because what do apologists usually do? They usually question, let's say she doesn't have a respectable profession. Right. Let's say she's a criminal. Maybe she has a criminal record. Yeah. Let's say she is on drugs or something. Let's say she's not that great of a person. Maybe say she has character flaws. All that withstanding, and just a person like that makes a sexual abuse, a sexual assault, or being a claim. Would you ignore the claim because of all those character traits and character flaws? No, you wouldn't.
Shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Because that's only thrown out there to attack the credibility of that victim.
Exactly. So you keep that separate. You keep that separate.
So you're saying on the flip side.
So on the flip side, yes, there are certain traits that someone can have without being someone who sexually abuses people.
Right. You know because Jordan can be an asshole.
When I say sexually abuse, I mean because harassment is abuse. But when I'm talking about physically kind of force themselves onto people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But Jordan can definitely, I don't know that, because like I said, I don't know the man. But Jordan can be an asshole. He can be a racist because Carly said that he made some racist comments.
He's a homophobe and a racist.
Yeah, some homophobic comments, power hungry, he's a manipulator. He can be all those things. He can be a bad guy. But like you were just saying, it doesn't exactly mean that translates into now he did a sexual predator or he's a rapist. That doesn't just equal out to be that case. So anyway, I think we've said.
Yeah, I think we've run this into the ground. I think we said what we had to say.
It's complex, but yeah, I think that's it. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on until maybe something else comes forward. But Facebook, appreciate you being here with us. If you would click the link, come on over to YouTube. We're gonna continue the rest of the program there, and we'll see you over there. All right, so like I was saying, 'tis the season for sexual assault cases, sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, and it's usually all these men, kind of these men with power, men with status that are being outed. Within the past few days, actually, there's been a number of cases. So the Michigan representative, the U.S. representative John Conyers, it's been revealed that he had a case of sexual harassment, I believe. And actually, it was a woman that went through the Office of Compliance that we talked about. I believe the last show we talked about it. That's the measure where people that are wanting to detail a case of sexual assault or sexual misconduct or whatever, any kind of impropriety, they have to go through this office. So this woman, who I don't believe her name was released, but she went through this office, and like I think we said before, the process is very convoluted. Okay, And but she went through this process, and I believe the settlement was about $27,000. But when you do get a settlement, you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So this is why this case remained, you know, underneath a mat. Nobody knew about it until now. This was back in 2015. Now, for Conyers' part, he says that he admits that, yeah, this happened, you know, this settlement happened. Of course, I mean, like, you can't deny that because it's, I mean, it's on record. But he denies any wrongdoing. He's saying that even though this case reached a settlement, I'm still not at fault. I didn't do anything wrong. So, you know, he's saying that he's not.
What is it called? It's called a
Office of Compliance.
Office of Compliance.
Yeah. Actually, it was in 2004 she actually launched the complaint in 2014, and it was about sexual advances, and it was about, you know, I think he would say things like, you know, to advance your career, you could do this and that, and she was,
it seems more like
not agreeable to that.
It seems more like a cover-up system.
It does seem like
you see what I'm saying?
System.
Because if you're trying to have people sign non-disclosure agreements, to that kind of covers offenses up. That covers crimes up. Why would you want to do that? I'm sorry, that's a dumb question. My bad.
It's going to look bad for the Hill, right? It's going to look bad for Congress.
It's going to look bad for Congress, but it's going to kind of probably not just look bad for that individual, but probably pose a threat to other men who are in that space too.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And my thing is, like, if we're looking for who's at fault for these situations, to me, it's actually not just the perpetrator. It's actually the people who set the system up and who run the system. Because to me, they're accomplices in covering this stuff up.
They are.
Because what is like the actual punishment here? If you know that there is a kind of a slush fund available to pay off women who accuse
taxpayer,
if you know there's a slush fund available, like, that's not going to be a deterrent. I'm going to be like, you know what I'm saying? I can do it. I can just, like, you know, like, risk it because first
constituents won't know about it.
They won't know about it because they got to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and that money is available for that purpose. So you're not going to end up changing behavior unless you put their jobs on the line.
What penalty is there?
Unless people start getting fired.
Right.
When there's no really, it's kind of like, it's actually worse than this. Because it's not like it's coming out of their pocket. Like, you know, when banks like commit like some sort of, or they violate some sort of financial regulation and they get like $1 million fine, but they're worth like 50 billion as a company. It's a drop in the bucket.
It's worse than that though, because it's worse not coming out of their pocket. Yeah.
It's not. So to me, this is more. This is like a cover-up system.
This is from BuzzFeed. Congress has no human resources department. Instead, congressional employees have 180 days to report a sexual harassment incident to the Office of Compliance, which then leads to a lengthy process that involves counseling and mediation and requires the signing of a confidentiality agreement before a complaint can go forward. Now, this is a little chart of the process that it takes to, go through and make a complaint about sexual assault, or really any complaint. Really, it doesn't have to be sexual assault, but it can take up to 180 days. First, you got to report the claim to the Office of Compliance. Then there's going to be mandatory counseling. Then mandatory mediation. If you do not agree to the mediation, there is no other recourse. You can't do anything else. You have to agree to the mediation. After that, there's going to be a mandatory cooling off period. Like, that's about 30 days. A mandatory cooling off period. So things continue at work for the accused and the accuser. Nothing changes. The accuser has to go about regular business, and I mean, nothing changes. So think about that kind of work environment. So then after that, they can file a formal complaint after that mediation period, or they can say that, okay, we've reached a settlement. So if they reach a settlement, then they have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. If they don't reach a settlement, then they can request a hearing or file a lawsuit. So again, this is a very lengthy period, and like you just called it, it seems like it is a cover-up system.
And not only a cover-up system, it's a, let's say, a red tape system.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it forces these women to go through a lot of red tape to get these issues resolved.
Right. And yeah, I misspoke to you. It can't. The whole process doesn't take 180 days. It can take like 90 days. The whole process, which is still
would you say
a very
about
long time.
A cooling off period.
Why? Why would you need a cooling off period?
Oh, I'm sorry. When you say cool off, you mean hopefully she forgets the details of the situation period,
or she's faced with pressure.
Oh,
and she feels like, you know what, I'm not gonna go forward with this.
Oh, you mean like maybe she's pressured by the people around her, and hopefully she drops it
because the situation doesn't change at work.
And that's the jacked up part, because she's gonna be around those same jokers.
It's crazy, man. So yeah, like before the last show we did, we talked about how there is some talk about how they want to kind of revamp this process. And I am all in agreement for that, because this process is bullshit right here. This makes it harder on the victim. This makes it harder to actually make a claim. So they need some work on this.
Honestly, it's kind of I look at it the same way I look at police brutality and where those settlements come from. You see what I'm saying? Why don't you it's like if you threaten to take it from their pension, then they might be a little more aware of themselves when they go interact with people. So again, if you threaten to take something away from them, these congressmen, no. If you get sued, it's like it's gonna come from your bank account, your paycheck. You're gonna have to start doing speeches like Bill Clinton to pay this off,
or X out the non-disclosure agreement and make it so that we actually know, like the constituents that actually vote these cats in, that we actually know about it, so that. So that's some information we can use next time you come up on the ballot.
See, we keep kind of mentioning one by one all the reasons why the non-disclosure agreement is out of the blue. That's probably one of the main reasons.
Senator Al Franken. We talked about his sexual misconduct, sexual assault, really. His case involving the model, the sports commentator, and the radio morning host, Leanne Tweeden. We talked about that, I believe, the last show. Now a second woman has come forward and said that something improper happened. And her name is Lindsay Menz. She's from Texas. And she told CNN that there was a photo opportunity in 2010 at the Minnesota State Fair. And during the picture, her husband took the picture of them. During that picture, Senator Franken grabbed her booty, a la George H.W. Bush style. And she said he firmly handled her butt. She said, quote, "It was wrapped tightly around my butt cheek."
This is my first step in maybe Al Franken taking a bit of time to reflect on himself. He should stay away from photo ops.
He should
stay away from photo ops.
Now he said he didn't deny that this incident occurred, because he says, well, I take thousands of photos with people throughout the years, so he doesn't remember this exact situation.
That is kind of weird that her husband was there.
Yeah, taking the picture.
See, that's the thing. The husband was there taking the picture. Like I don't know how come. You know what? I don't care how much I get along with it. Like my friends. That just doesn't seem like. Or actually, because he's a startup. You know what? I don't care if it's my favorite actor, my favorite celebrity, somebody I look up to, somebody that I think is just real funny, real talented in whatever way. I just don't think I would feel comfortable in letting that individual grab my wife's butt.
I wonder if he knew it at the time.
Like he was like, "Hey, take a picture with Al Franken," and he just was like surprised and like did it with good timing, and it ended up
maybe he didn't catch it. Maybe she told him afterwards. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, either way.
No, it's not a good look, especially after the Louis Leanne tweeting just came out just a few days ago too. This whole thing is not a good look.
No, here's the thing. If I don't know you like that, I ain't gonna take no picture like that with you.
Yeah.
I don't know you like that. Like if I'm just like, this is some random dude's wife.
You know, he was on SNL.
Oh yeah,
he's a sitting senator. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. But like I said, I don't think he said that it happened. He says he doesn't remember. So I don't know. I don't know. Of course, he did call for that ethics investigation into his conduct in the Senate. So let's see. We'll see if that actually happens or not. Also, a few more cases. Charlie Rose, longtime TV host. Charlie Rose. 8 women told the Washington Post. Yes, Charlie Rose. Charlie Rose.
Charlie Rose.
Charlie Rose. 8 women told.
Yo, I feel like DJ Khaled, dog. And another one. And another one.
Like we said, man.
And another one.
Tis the season.
And another one.
The season.
That's how I feel.
8 women told the Washington Post that he made unwanted sexual advances towards him. This includes groping breasts, buttocks, genital areas, inappropriate phone calls, even walking around naked in their presence. Like on business trips, there were on a few cases he just appeared naked, and this isn't just one case too. I mean, like I said, these are very similar cases between.
Yo, this is like Louis C.K. like 2.0.
I know, and these allegations go back as recent as 2011. So for this,
so it's not like he was young or something.
No. And that's what my mother actually, she was wondering too. Like, this must have been like when he was younger, right? And this was just 6 years ago. So yeah, I mean, well, I guess the latest case. So, but for this, he has been fired from CBS News and PBS. So they have cut all connections to Charlie Rose. Now he made a comment. Well, he put out a statement saying, it is essential that these women know I hear them and that I deeply apologize for my inappropriate behavior. I'm greatly embarrassed. I have behaved insensitively at times and I accept responsibility for that, though I do not believe that all of these allegations are accurate. I always felt that I was pursuing shared feelings, even though I now realize I was mistaken. Now, see, he qualified it a little bit. You see, there's no reason for him to say that, although I do not believe all these allegations are accurate. Like, apologize and be done. Apologize and be done. If some of them are true, nobody's gonna believe that the others are not true as well. You might as well just take the whole L, take the whole loss and say, I was completely irresponsible. I was inappropriate. I put these women in a very compromising position. I can't believe I committed these acts. I am sorry. That is it. Do not qualify it. Do not say that all of these acts I don't believe are true. No, nobody believes you, Charlie Rose.
Like I said, Louis C.K. part 2, because that apology too, because that was just about as weak. Behaved insensitively. Is that what he calls what he did?
What does it have to do with insensitive? Like being insensitive? It has to do with being.
That's more of like a passive act.
Yeah.
Being like, what I'm saying, behaving insensitively, that kind of like makes it seem more passive.
Like, oh, I made a mistake.
Yeah. And like,
no,
yeah,
you didn't.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like, don't half step.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, don't admit to like, well, I stole the car, but I didn't steal the money out of the console.
But it's gone. Console. But it's gone though. No, nobody's gonna believe you. Nobody believes you. So again, he's gone. Like I said, he's been cut from CBS and PBS. And like I said, there's 8 of them that summarized their accounts and said he was very inappropriate. So another one we're gonna talk about is Glenn Thrush, And Glenn Thrush is a very well-known political commentator. He's an author. He used to be at Politico, but this year he moved over to the New York Times. And it was, in total, I believe, 4 women that have come out and have detailed some allegations against him. So this is all from an article on Vox, and it was by Laura McGann. And, excuse me, she detailed accounts of unwanted contact, unwanted kissing by Thrush. Another encounter was, well, there was a fourth I guess victim that she said that the encounter between them was consensual, but that she kind of felt pressured into it because of his status, because she was,
wait a second, like what was she to him?
I don't know what she was, but she was below him in position at Politico.
It don't matter. She's below him.
Exactly.
So, like,
that's the problem.
Again, most companies, even companies that aren't as prestigious as Politico, they usually have like policies. Like, you cannot date someone like, like, you know what I'm saying, who has a lower status than you.
Right. Some even have policies where even if you're on a level playing field, you can't mix business with pleasure. And so all of these cases concerning Glenn Thrush, though, I will say they're not as salacious as some of the outed predators that we've heard. It seems to be in the case of Glenn Thrush, alcohol was always involved. He was always consuming alcohol. Seems like he was pretty inebriated at the time. So they would happen at various functions. I guess, I don't know if it was a work function or if it was just in a bar or something, but he was consuming alcohol and he would maybe put his hand on somebody's thigh. I believe on one case he did that, and he kissed somebody, or he either tried to kiss somebody or did kiss somebody. And like I said, that's really the scope of all of these claims. So like I said, it's not as salacious. It's not as like outrageous as these other claims. So
when he starts to drinking and he gets a little, you know, tipsy, a little drunk, he turns into Joe Biden.
Yeah, yeah, a little touchy-feely, right? And see, look, this guy, I believe, yeah, he was probably trying to court females, you know, trying to date women. Now, the problem is that these women work with him, and in most of these cases, they were underlings to him. He outranked them, and so that's the problem. See, if this was just somebody, let's say you met somebody at the bar. Let's say you just met somebody somewhere else. You're kicking it, you know, you're talking back and forth. There's some alcohol. Let's say you misread a signal. Let's say you're going in, you know, and you put your hand on somebody's thigh. Yeah, that might be inappropriate, and maybe that woman does not want you to do that. I don't think it gets to this point to where you're being outed in the news,
I think it's kind of important to point out. You mentioned that it's somebody that, in that scenario, was somebody that he didn't work with.
Well, it was
no, in your scenario.
My scenario, yeah.
In that scenario. So what happens is, if it goes south, they don't see each other again.
Right.
So not only is it inappropriate because it's an underling, like, you have to think about what that, I guess, what that underling or that woman as an underling has to kind of, the environment that she has to now be in with him at work after that incident. That's why you don't do that.
And the fourth claim, she said it was a consensual thing that happened between them, but that it only happened because of his powerful position. So it's like, look, if you are in a powerful position at work, don't mix business with pleasure, and especially don't go down the scale. Like, don't mess with these people that are under you in rank. That's never gonna, like, even if you have a clear green light, it still may come up. No,
it's not a good idea.
Yeah, it's a horrible idea, because something could actually come up later, some hurt feelings to where, you know, that person is maybe going to try to get back at you, or feel like, you know what, this actually was not appropriate, and I'm going to make a claim against you now.
And you actually start to involve everybody else in the workplace too, because then people can claim nepotism.
Yeah, they can.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like favoritism in a way.
Like, it's one thing for people, like I said, on the same level to do that. Now that might get messy. We've seen that. Come on, everybody has seen that. Off the workplace romances, we've seen that just tumble, explode. I mean, it's very commonly a very bad situation. But when it's a boss messing with somebody that they outrank, come on, man, don't do it. Now, so he made a statement too, and all of them make statements. But he said, the June incident was a life-changing event for me. The woman involved was upset by my actions, and for that I am deeply sorry. Over the past several years, I have responded to a succession of personal and health crises by drinking heavily. During that period, I have done things that I am ashamed of, actions that have brought great hurt to my family and friends. I have not taken a drink since June 15, 2017, have resumed counseling, and will soon begin outpatient treatment for alcoholism. I am working hard to repair the damage I have done. So he hasn't been fired as of this moment. He's been suspended. He's been put on suspension by the New York Times, and like I said, he is going to some counseling, some rehabilitation, and
I mean, I'm glad he's, he addressed his drinking, but honestly, I don't think the drinking made him do that. I think the drinking kind of exposed his proclivities to do that. So I think, yes, alcohol may be kind of, I guess, I don't know, I guess be the conduit to which he does his, I guess he performs that kind of behavior, but I don't think it's the alcohol. The alcohol just brings it out. So hopefully him staying away from the alcohol may help him deal with whatever proclivities that are in there that he hasn't dealt with.
But then, like I said, we still got to make that distinction that if this was not workplace, if these weren't people that he worked with, I don't believe it would have been this big of a problem. I don't believe he would have been facing any kind of repercussions for it. It would have been like, if somebody was uncomfortable with that, it would have been like, you know what?
Basically, he would just be seen as a regular dude with bad game.
Yeah, don't touch me. Somebody might take some severe offense to it, but I don't believe it's gonna get to this, to where he's suspended now. So, but like I said, 'tis the season. All right, so we're done with the. What do you call them?
Booty bandits.
We're done with the booty bandits for right now. So we're going to get to President Trump, all right? So just yesterday, on Monday, President Trump made an announcement, and his announcement was about North Korea. North Korea is now being added to the state sponsor of terrorism list, a list that they had been removed from, I believe, back in 2008, by George W. Bush.
They got removed from the list, and then shortly thereafter, that's when North Korea was like, you know what? This whole nuclear proliferation thing, we're completely out of it, because it's like been an ongoing battle with them for the past like 30 years. You know what I'm saying? With them like kind of signing an agreement and then not wanting to, or I don't say not wanting to, there was just some conflict with the, what is it, the IAEA, what's it called? Is that called?
I believe that's what it is, yeah.
And like, I guess inspections and whatnot, and they tested the missile one time. So basically there's kind of been like an ongoing tug of war with them for the past 30 years.
Right.
But yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. But in 2008, it got taken off, and in 2009, they were like, okay, we off now? All right. We ain't talking about this nuclear stuff, this nuclear proliferation treaties anymore.
Yeah. And yeah, Trump said in his statements, and we're going to play a short clip of that in a second, but in the statements, he said that this was a long time coming, should have been done years ago. North Korea will now join only 3 other countries on that list, which is Iran, Sudan, and Syria. So now there are only 4 countries on that list of state sponsors of terrorism. But let's play the clip of Trump talking about this decision.
Today, the United States is designating North Korea as a state sponsor of terrorism. In addition to threatening the world by nuclear devastation, North Korea has repeatedly supported acts of international terrorism, including assassinations on foreign soil. Tomorrow, the Treasury Department will be announcing an additional sanction, and a very large one, on North Korea, and this will be going on over the next 2 weeks. It'll be the highest level of sanctions by the time it's finished over a 2-week period. The North Korean regime must be lawful. It must end its unlawful nuclear and ballistic missile development and cease all support for international terrorism, which it is not doing.
What, you know what jumped out at me most out of all that was the attempted assassinations of world leaders or something. Is that what he said?
He said, yeah, the assassinations on foreign soil.
Foreign soil. Sorry, assassinations on foreign soil.
International terrorism.
But see, when you say assassination, you're not talking about just like ISIS, ISIL, Al Qaeda, Hezbollah. You're not talking about the Taliban. You're not talking about like just regular. You're talking about like some sort of like you're talking assassinations. You're talking about killing important people.
The only thing that I can think of, the only thing that I have to go on as information of where the U.S. feels like North Korea carried out an attack on foreign soil, an assassination, if you want to call it, is on Kim Jong-un's brother, his half brother, who is Kim Jong-nam. He was killed earlier this year, I believe. And it's suspected by the U.S. government, suspected that it was carried out by the North Korean government, by Kim Jong-un, because it was some kind of like chemical-based attack, and
some like he got poison.
Right. So they believe it was North Korea, but other than that, I do not believe.
Maybe they have some intelligence that.
But you don't think they would share that? Because come on, I mean, because Trump, the government loves to paint North Korea as the big bag boogeyman,
right?
Unhinged dictator over there,
Rocket Man.
You know, there'd be no reason to withhold that information from the American people, because at some point, if you do have to go in, if you feel like you have to go in there, you want the American public support. So why not give them like, hey, look at what this man is doing all across the globe?
Well, they do that. They kind of outline their strategy in regard to what terrorists they're tracking and targeting and why they're tracking them, and they did this and they did that. So yeah, it would make sense that Trump would kind of outline, they've been attempted assassinations here, here, and here, and these are the reasons. But to just kind of throw that out there, I don't know. Maybe that he just maybe just throwing stuff out there to see if it'll stick. Maybe they're just, because I doubt that's something that he came up with.
Yeah,
that's not something, because obviously, you know, he's being advised. So that's not, that doesn't sound like something he would come up with.
In this statement as well, too, he mentioned Otto Warmbier, and that's the guy that was captured over in North Korea. He was doing a tour as American. He got captured in North Korea for allegedly stealing like some kind of propaganda, propaganda poster. Which was, I mean, the case was definitely bullshit, because even the photo, I mean, like even the video that North Korea shared during his like trial, it was of an individual taking the poster down, but then putting it on the ground. He didn't leave with it. It was like they said it was too heavy or too big for him to actually take with them. So it was a sham, of course. But anyway, he was punished. He was I think he was convicted, sentenced to 15 years hard labor. But then a month into his conviction, or a month into his sentence, he came down with some health crisis that they said was a result of botulism. Something happened, but he was returned home a year later, but he was in a vegetative state, died shortly after. So that's what, those are the only two instances I can think of where you can say, where the U.S. government can actually point to and say, hey, these, North Korea is guilty of some kind of terrorism or some kind of murderous practices or something like that, about his brother, about Kim Jong-un's brother, and about Otto Warmbier. But his last statement in that clip, the North Korean regime must be lawful. It must end its unlawful nuclear ballistic missile development. Unlawful nuclear ballistic missile development? Now, North Korea is a sovereign nation. Mm-hmm. There is no law against them having nuclear ballistic missiles.
And they're not under the treaty anymore.
No,
they're not under that treaty. So
this is not unlawful. What is Trump talking about? Unlawful?
They're not under that treaty anymore. So
again, they are their own country. That's like North Korea saying, "Hey, the United States has to suspend all these unlawful nuclear weapons programs that they have.
My question is to anybody, like, why can't North Korea have a nuclear weapon? That's a legitimate question. If you think that, you know,
times, yeah.
My thing is, it's like, yes, there's an authoritarian dictator over there, but I don't think he wants to, although I can't verify this, I can't get into his head, but based on like what profile we have of him currently, it doesn't seem like he wants to spread his empire. You see what I'm saying? That would be too risky for him. He wants to keep it tight because he
just wants to keep that enclosed.
He wants to keep that. What he
wants to keep it protected and secure. It doesn't seem like he's reaching outwards trying to amass any more land or anything like that. That's what doesn't seem like that. But another thing that I want to say, man, is this it now? Like, is this the full chest of Donald Trump? Is this chest completely out now? Because remember before we were like, stick your whole chest out. Like, don't keep talking about, oh, we're gonna sanction them, we're gonna do Rocket Man. Like, put your whole chest
we're gonna,
into it.
Like blast them off the face of the earth or something like that. He didn't say that, but he said something like that. I can't remember the exact words he said.
He said this is gonna be the highest level of sanctions. All right, so then we won't hear anything about any sanctions anymore, right? Because this is the highest level of sanctions, right? I want to see the whole chest of Donald Trump.
But see, sanctions don't matter to...
No, it doesn't.
And sanctions have never mattered. Sanctions haven't mattered since 1991 with Kim Jong-un.
Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, he said, or he conceded, he said the practical effects may be limited because we already know North Korea is already heavily sanctioned by the U.S. government already. So what is this going to do? Like I said, I just don't want to hear Trump talking about sanctions anymore or like next actions. Like, do it now. Like, you're so frustrated with North Korea. They're so irresponsible, so dangerous. Like, do it all now.
So it just seems like a lot of pump faking.
That's what it seems. Oh, hey, I'm gonna get you. Like, put it out, man. Like, come on. You're strong, man. You're a leader, right? Just put your full chest into it. All right. Now we have to share some terrible news. Terrible news on net neutrality. Terrible news. So I mean, but news that we all saw coming.
I wonder if what's her face is
yeah,
Rose?
I can't remember. Is it
Rose?
Rose? Yeah,
Rose.
That calls in about net neutrality. I don't know if you're listening, Rose, but yeah, I'm sure you know the news of the day. FCC Chairman Ajit Pai, Republican, of course, chairman of the FCC, he announced today that the FCC intends on rolling back these rules on net neutrality in December. I believe they meet for they have some meeting on December 14th. Yeah, Ruth is here. Okay, yeah. Ruth. What's up, Ruth? Yeah. Right. Yeah, but yeah, they're going to meet on December 14th. They're going to vote on this proposal, and it's expected to win because Republicans, there's 5 seats. Republicans hold 3 of those seats. So in a statement, Pai said that today I have shared with my colleagues a draft order that would abandon this failed approach and return to the long-standing consensus that served consumers well for decades. Under my proposal, the federal government will stop micromanaging the internet. Yeah, I know, which is crazy, right?
Wait a second. From what I saw, there's going to be more micromanagement. What?
But see, it's like this type of micromanaging he's not okay with, but this type of micromanagement that benefits ISPs.
But I've seen that.
That's fine. He's fine with that.
I've seen that type of language actually not just being used by people like him. I actually see that type of language being used by regular folk about like micromanagement bureaucracies, and they somehow think a bureau only exists in the government. Like the biggest bureaucracies exist in corporations. But anyway,
like how do you? But to your point, how do you say that here we have net neutrality, right, where all information is treated the same, but this is micromanaging. What we want to do is create a situation where internet service providers can set up fast lanes and slow lanes, and so they can actually block content, put a premium on some content, but that's not micromanaging. What?
What they're calling it is they're trying to kind of sell it as something that's going to be more convenient for consumers. It's going to offer consumers more choices. They can pick and choose.
It's crazy.
I know it's
but
crazy.
We can do that now. That's crazy. Pi went on, right? And he further went on. He said, instead, the FCC would simply require internet service providers to be transparent about their practices so that consumers can buy the service plan that's best for them, and entrepreneurs and other small businesses can have the technical information they need to innovate. So, let me get this straight. Here we have, you know how we've talked about banks before. We've talked about regulation, deregulation. So here we have a situation where it's like, hey, here companies, we're going to give you the keys to do whatever you want to, and we're going to entrust you to do the best thing for your consumers and your customers and for all the American people. There's not going to be any rules in place for you, really. You can block content, you can set up slow lanes, you can set up fast lanes, amass more money because of those fast lanes and premium content. But we don't think you're going to do it because you're going to act in the best interest of the consumers, right?
Well, see, what do you
All you have to do is be transparent.
Well, what's the ultimate purpose of this other than, like, you know, corporations just being greedy? Like, because there's always ultimate purpose. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think is the ultimate purpose, man?
The ultimate purpose is to squash the little guys. Squash independent content.
Yep.
Because it's
content they're not really comfortable
check
with,
this out. Do you think they'd be kind of so swift going forward with this if people weren't gravitating towards social media? Would you think they would be so swift in going about this if people were exiting the I guess what you would call the traditional media? You think they really would be going like this? So
are you saying there's some sort of connection with the fact that more and more people are withdrawing from traditional cable and this decision from the FCC? Are you saying that there's some kind of connection?
They're basically like, you know what, y'all are leaving, like all of like ESPN, HBO, like all these networks are down, so it's like we have to force these people to watch. We're going to make it to where the only people that are going to be able to afford, you know what I'm saying, these whatever fast lanes or lanes with higher bandwidth or whatever, it's going to be the big guys. So what's going to happen is it's going to consolidate. It's going to naturally consolidate media. Well, I wouldn't call it naturally. That's just going to be
forced.
That's going to be the consequence.
Yes.
It's inorganic, but it's still going to be the natural consequence of this kind of inorganic approach to internet access.
Man, and like I said, man, we saw this coming, but just to hear their intentions like are firmly in place for just under a month from now is devastating. The CEO of the trade group US Telecom, he said in a statement, "Today's action will provide tremendous opportunity for American broadband consumers, no matter where they live. The removal of antiquated, restrictive regulations will pave the way for broadband network investment, expansion, and upgrades." Tell me
that sounds yo. You know what? You could that's interchangeable with the same language from fossil fuel industry.
Yep.
That language is interchangeable.
Tell me how changing the current norm that we live in right now, the current status we live in right now is that information is treated equally, right? You can't put a premium on information. You can't set up fast and slow lanes. Tell me how changing that to where the system benefits the ISPs and people that can pay a higher premium. Tell me how that benefits consumers in any way. And it will lead to network investment and expansion and upgrades.
Look, man. If anybody out there has ever worked for a corporation or a company that prided themselves on customer service, you know good and well companies that do that, they don't really care about that. You see what I'm saying? So when they say they're trying to make it better for the customer, what these companies do is they try to teach their employees that this is what customers want. So they try to impose onto customers what they want, when in reality they're just looking for residual income. That's really all they're looking for.
They're looking out for their own interests.
Yeah. So when they say customer service, you know what they're talking about.
Best be sure that huge corporations like AT&T, Verizon, celebrating this news because
Google,
yeah, no doubt, man, because again, they can pay that premium. They can't wait for the day. Can't wait. Bart Scott can't wait.
Stupid.
So New York Jets reference.
Little sports analogy.
But yeah, man, we laugh, but you know, it's just another thing that is just it's the state of affairs that we live in right now. Not even a year into President Donald Trump. Not even a year. This is where we're at. Speaking of President Donald Trump,
I didn't even realize this. Another consequence of that is how it could affect elections because access to information is going to be consolidated.
Well, I'm sure they knew that.
That's
I'm sure they thought about that. You know, that's not something that's like, oh, you know what? That could actually help us out a little bit.
You're like, that was an added benefit by accident.
Damn, we didn't think about that. Great news, man. Please, man. All in the name of greed, man. All in the name of keeping things exactly where they are. And rolling back things that actually benefit us. But yeah, Donald Trump. So weeks ago, we talked about how a judge, I believe it was in Washington, Judge Colleen Gaillard, she put a hold on this whole this Trump agenda, this Trump directive to the Pentagon, to where the Pentagon would no longer accept transgender recruits into the military. So, like I said, a few weeks ago, this Judge Gaillard put that on hold because she said that it was very discriminative. It was unfair.
It was unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional, yeah, all of that. But what she also said was that she couldn't put a hold on transgender people seeking out the surgery, like the reassignment surgery. She couldn't put a hold on that, so that would continue to be blocked. That would be banned. Well, a second federal judge has weighed in. This time it is U.S. District Judge Marvin J. Garbus, this is according to the Washington Post. I believe I have that right here. Well, no, actually I don't have that. But he found that active duty service members are already suffering harmful consequences because of that policy by President Donald Trump. And the ruling came down on Tuesday. And this was part of Judge Garbus's words. He said that transgender service members challenging the ban have demonstrated that they are already suffering harmful consequences, such as the cancellation and postponements of surgeries, the stigma of being set apart as inherently unfit, facing the prospect of discharge and inability to commission as an officer, the inability to move forward with long-term medical plans, and the threat to their prospects of obtaining long-term assignments.
Why is he making it like there are hordes of soldiers trying to get this reassignment surgery?
You know, because he has to sell it. He has to sell this idea that it's so expensive and it's going to be so burdensome to the military.
And the thing is, it's like these individuals are volunteering to put themselves in harm's way. They most likely.
A very patriotic position.
I guess, right? So my thing is, like, wouldn't you want that person to be kind of psychologically fit and psychologically solvent to, you know what I'm saying, so they can do their job for the U.S. military a lot better and probably more efficient and go about it in a more confident way based on their ability to be who they are, you know what I'm saying, as far as their identity goes.
Well, that would be proper. I think that would be a good position to take, but if you understand Trump's position, I don't believe he wants transgender military service members in the military at all.
Yeah, it was kind of a way to try to push them out. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, you was trying to push them out.
Yeah. So yeah, somebody looking at this,
I would think, like
you want them in the best mind frame to perform their duties as a soldier, right?
And kind of preventing them this procedure would kind of like retard that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And again, like you made the point to begin this off. It's not like hordes of people are saying, hey, we signed up just to get this surgery. Sign me up, you know?
And if they did,
that's not happening.
But guess what? If they did, I'm like, so y'all willing to go through all that and get trained and do all that stuff just to get it? Okay, then.
First of all, I don't believe that's happening. Second of all, it's not hordes of people that are actually requesting the surgery. So, come on, man. But I'm glad another judge has weighed in and said, President Trump, you're out of bounds here, man. No, we're not going to do this as a country, as a military. We're not going to do this. This is unconstitutional. So, what'd you say?
You're talking about when I said he's getting tired of all this winning?
Yeah.
He's winning, baby.
You're going to get tired of all this winning, right? You're going to win so much, you're going to get tired of it.
You know what I'm saying? Stop winning. You're winning too much.
How many L's this mug got? I mean, now he's doing some hella stuff. He's doing some devastating stuff now this year. We can't
it's amazing.
Deny that.
Think about if he was able to do a lot of things he wanted to.
You know? Thankfully, he does have these L's, though. Thankfully, he does have these L's. He's already been so bad for the country and for the globe.
For the environment?
Yes.
Now he's about to, for people, billions of Americans as far as tax reform?
Man. But like I said, at least on this issue, he takes a big fat L. Another thing concerning President Trump, we talked about, not in great length, but we talked about the case about
LiAngelo
Ball, yeah, the Balls. If you follow sports, the Ball family. Lonzo Ball plays for the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA. LiAngelo is at UCLA. His youngest son is still in high school in Chino Hills, California. But the middle son that's at UCLA, recently he was caught shoplifting with two other players at UCLA in China. President Trump intervened, and there's some I guess feeling that when he spoke to the president of China, I guess his words were impactful and he may have got them released. Maybe. We don't know.
First, you need to just Trump words impactful.
First and last time I say that, right? But yeah, like we don't know how meaningful he was to getting them released, but the players did take the initiative to thank Donald Trump, the President Trump, thank him for intervening and getting them back home. Okay. Now, LeVar Ball, father of LiAngelo Ball, one of the people that were arrested for shoplifting in China. LeVar Ball made some news, which he always makes news because he always bluster. It's all bluster, bloviating. It's all like me. It's all
very
like
Trump-like.
Yeah. That is true. But yeah, he of course he has an ego. He wants the cameras on him. He wants the attention. So he was being, I believe he was, I don't know if he was being interviewed by ESPN, but he was saying something like, who? Donald Trump? What? He got my son released? No, he ain't do nothing. What are you talking about? It was just like, oh, like this dude didn't even apologize. Yeah, he always trolls. Stay in your lane, right? So of course that made news, as his statements always make news because he is LeVar Ball. The media gives him so much attention because they want to see what ridiculous things he's going to say next. So of course Donald Trump had to respond, right? Of course. Like, he wouldn't be Donald Trump if he didn't respond. So Donald Trump put a tweet out and he said, now that the 3 basketball players are out of China and saved from years in jail, LeVar Ball, the father of LiAngelo, is unaccepting of what I did for his son, and that shoplifting is no big deal. I should have left them in jail! Exclamation point.
You know what? I'm pretty sure China got something out of it. I'm pretty sure there was some deal.
That might be a fair point.
I highly doubt that Donald Trump used impactful words that influenced the Chinese
And China
president.
just got nothing.
And China was like, you know what? You make a great point, Mr. Trump. I'm greatly moved by your impactful words. I'm going to now release these 3 men. Like,
just because you asked.
Just because you asked. No,
so
there
nicely
was some,
and
there
professionally.
was some deal. But like, why does our president constantly keep fighting these little insignificant battles? Like to me, like if you were interested in actually doing your job as a president and, you know what I'm saying, like performing your job as a president, as a qualified president, you wouldn't have time to get involved in these little side battles. And to me, this is one of the premier signs of him kind of subconsciously knowing he's not fit for the job. You know what I'm saying? He knows he's not fit for the job, so he has to engage in these little side battles in order to pass the time in between engaging in press conferences and meetings with advisors where he has no idea what's going on. So he has to do something where that makes him feel like he has big hands.
This is just a long established pattern of Donald Trump's activities and his behavior. Donald Trump is a narcissist. Donald Trump is a megalomaniac. Donald Trump had to put on front stage that his hands are not small, and that means that something else is not small as well. This is who Donald Trump is. So Donald Trump is not a leader in any form of the word. Sometimes the job of a president is a thankless job. You have to be a leader of all types of people, and sometimes that means you have to lead ungrateful people as well. Now, was LeVar Ball being serious about like Donald Trump not meaning anything to how his son got out of China? I don't know. I mean, like, LeVar Ball says things. He creates controversy. You have to know that. Why would you pick a battle that small? Why would you take that opportunity to go at somebody that is really that insignificant? This is about basketball. His son and the other 2 players have already said, thank you, Donald Trump. Why does it matter what LeVar Ball says? Why don't you be the bigger person? Why don't you be the president of the United States and just lead?
But what a network did LeVar Ball appear on?
He was on, yeah, so I believe it was it last night or the night before? He was on CNN. I think it was last night. He was on CNN with Cuomo. And it went exactly how you would think it would go.
And see, a
lot of buffoonery.
And see, that's my problem.
It was
it was
a clown show.
And that's my problem. You mean to tell me CNN didn't know that they was getting involved in some clownish, some clownish stuff?
And it went on for a while too.
And that's my problem. I'm like, you're a big news network. Why are you kind of like, I guess, deal with the tweet and move on? Like, that's fine. Deal with the tweet for like 5 seconds.
It's really not news. Move on. It's really not news.
So it's like, deal with it, laugh about it, and move it on. But why bring Ball on there again? Because they're not really serious. No. Because it's an opportunity to focus on Trump and not, guess who? The Democrats.
Exactly. There was no reason to bring LeVar on the air and talk to him for a minute.
They're bringing LeVar Ball on CNN. I'm pretty sure there were plenty of other guests that could have filled that time slot.
Like serious guests?
Serious guests. You know what I'm saying?
Not somebody that he said that he would have thanked Trump if Trump brought them back on his plane. That's what he said. That's what he said.
See, that's what I'm saying. He's trolling, and
of course he's trolling. Cuomo knew that too.
And again, I just don't like this kind of like fake attitude. Like Cuomo was surprised. I'm like, that's exactly what y'all brought him on there for. And I'm like,
you brought him on to be LeVar Ball.
And then, like, so stop with this. Like, oh, we're so surprised it went in this direction. I'm like, y'all are so whack, man.
Now, what's funny though is Neil Cavuto, the Fox News host. He was a little angered by Donald Trump's actions, and not just concerning LeVar Ball, but also how in recent days he's attacked Senator Jeff Flake for something very petty. I think Jeff Flake was captured on a hot mic, but he didn't notice, and he was kind of talking about Donald Trump in a kind of disparaging way. But it was more so focused on Roy Moore, and he was saying that, yeah, if the Republicans stick with Roy Moore, this is going to be very damaging for them. But it was something that Trump did not have to respond to, but of course he did. And like I said, Neil Cavuto took some kind of offense to that, and he was saying that, like, it's like, he said he equated it to using a grenade launcher to shoot a pea shooter. It's like these battles are so petty. Why would the president of the United States get involved? And he said, this is a quote from him, he said, "Last time I checked, you are the president of the United States. Why don't you act like it?" Now, I feel that way, but to come from a Fox News host, I will say that was the least bit surprising.
But see, now, you know that I think about it, man. We always talk about Trump in regard to, like, Republicans, whatever, and kind of their bigoted rhetoric, and he is kind of like the raw form. They're more like they present their bigotry as soft. It's like soft bigotry,
right?
You know what I'm saying? But like, if you really think about it, like existentially, like essentially, like all to me, Trump is an extension of our own pettiness. All he does is use Twitter. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Think about it.
Yeah.
Like we always look at Trump's level of pettiness as if it's like on level 5,000 all the time. That's only because he uses Twitter. But if I'm going to be honest and put it in perspective, I'm like, well, I remember when, you know, just not even being partisan or political, I remember when Barack Obama was president, and a lot of people were pointing things out that were insignificant, like what kind of mustard he put on his hot dog,
all the time,
whether he had a flag like pin on his suit, or a fish jab between him and Michelle.
No doubt.
So when I think about it, I'm like, our politics have always been petty. Our politics have always been petty. So to me, all Trump is like this, I guess, existentially, he's like a pimple. He's our little pimple. You know what I'm saying? Because we've always been petty. I think we have to acknowledge that. It's just Trump is just like shows us the extreme level of bullshit that we've already been on,
because nobody is using social
Twitter.
Media.
That's what I'm saying.
The
like
way he
that.
does. Yeah.
So I can't really just look at Trump and be like, man, that fool is operating in a way that we have never seen before. I was like, you know, we've been operating like this for a long time.
That's true, but still, it hasn't come from the top.
Oh,
like
yeah,
this.
yeah, but again, it needs to, though. Maybe it needs to, because if it came from the bottom, we wouldn't look at ourselves. Yeah. So it has to come from the top.
And get us to realize that we don't need this again.
We don't need this, but we don't need to do that.
And we don't need that as well. Yeah, exactly.
From people in general.
Yeah, I understand
from ourselves.
No, that's a good point to make. That's a good point. That's what we got. That's the end of the show. We do have the phone number. Let me see. Do I have it up right now? Let me put it back up. Number is 803-450-0698. If anybody has a comment or has a question that they want to ask, anything that we talked about or anything that's relevant in the news that maybe we've addressed before or need to address, feel free to call in and we'll get you on the air. Let's see what's going on in the chat section here. A lot of comments about everything that we talked about today. Let's see.
What's that? Tara Brayden. Oh, we got a caller.
Got a caller. I wonder if that's Ruth.
I wonder if that's Ruth.
I
wonder. I can't recognize the number, but
let's see. Thank you for calling. Let the madness begin. This is Will and Mike. You're on the air. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Ruth. I'm from Alabama.
Yep,
hey, Ruth.
Hey. I hope that my pizza guy doesn't get here while I'm on the phone, but because I ordered a pizza. But let's see. I'm trying to think of what I could add to what y'all said about net neutrality earlier. There's a new thing that I had actually been thinking would be a good idea, and someone else came up with it, that people can do. Let me turn down my computer because it.
The feedback,
okay. It is protesting at Verizon stores because AG Pie basically works for Verizon still, and they have a date set for doing it nationwide, and there's a website that people can go to. It's December 7th, and the website, I just lost it. I had it written down on a piece of paper. I'm sorry.
You worried about that pizza?
Hold on a second. Exactly. Where did I put it? Hold on. Well, I also have it on my computer. I'll just pull it up over here. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
It is Verizon Protests with an S on the end. It's VRIZONPROTESTS.com. And so that's something that people can do in addition to calling their lawmakers and going to battleforthenet.com. So.
Battleforthenet.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ruth, for sharing that information.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and something else you can do, of course, is tweet at Ajit Pai and also tweet and write for your lawmakers. But if he put something up today, which it's kind of hilarious because there's like literally thousands of comments underneath the main thing about him doing what he's doing today. So, yeah. People can also respond to his.
That's a good idea. I might, that's a good idea. We might troll
Get
him
on Twitter and do some tweeting, some Twitter.
I've been doing it for months, and so all of a sudden, people are actually noticing that I've been doing it and responding to that too. Yeah.
He deserves that.
He does. He does. But I think that's all that I can think of to say in addition to what y'all did.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for calling again. We like hearing from you.
Your calls are always appreciated.
All right, thank you.
Right. Have a good night and a good pizza.
Yeah, and a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Oh, you too. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Just in time.
Yeah, perfect timing. Okay, thank you.
All right. You know, and just hearing her talk too. I know we've talked about this before as it relates to, you know, the net neutrality, but this is not something that's only going to affect liberals, progressives, Democrats. It's also going to affect people that consider themselves on the right side of that aisle as well. People that support Donald Trump's administration, right?
But,
in a very negative way.
But again, remember how we talked about.
See, like, I know you about to throw something, right?
You know how we always like to talk about people supposedly voting against their interests.
Yeah, I know you were going.
But see, what if their interests are just feeling good about winning, feeling good about their guy being in there? So honestly, I don't even think, even if their lives take a turn for the worse, I don't think they will attribute it to, you know, their guy. You saying I don't even think they will attribute it. They won't. Because they're still high and feeling good for just because they feel like winners. You know, and that's all that matters to them.
I understand that this is still inside of the first year too, so it's like, you know, I don't think the shit has hit the fan just yet.
Oh, so it's like the honeymoon.
Yeah, I believe so. So I think there has to be some kind of point, like a point break. There's got to be some kind of point that Trump will not be able to go past, and if he does, he's going to lose significant support that he has. I mean, like, he's already lost a lot of support already just inside the first year. So his loyal base, I know they're riding this wave and feeling like, man, they're about to see some better outcomes, significantly better outcomes. It's on the way. But we're waiting for it.
They about to come down off a Red Bull high. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's what they're gonna see is not what they imagine. So
a Red Bull and 5 Hour Energy, they about to come down.
There's got to be a threshold. There's got to be some point where it's like, oh damn, hold on, let me look back. Damn.
Maybe it's not going to be essentially them looking back per se, but maybe them experiencing something that causes them to look back, and not just some random, hold on a second, let me stop for a second. It might be something that occurs, something in their life, something that in their life that has been made more difficult. You know what I'm saying? So,
like, I mean, man, look, internet is a big thing. Internet is a big thing, man. And like I said, it's not just impacting one group of people. It's going to impact all of us regular people, right? So that's, like I said, that's a pretty huge thing. If you significantly alter the way we have always had the internet, free access, if you impact that, I don't know, man.
It's almost like
that might be
they're trying to go back in time.
Yeah, I know.
It's like they're trying to regress.
Like I said, man, that might be pretty significant going forward. It may be. You don't mess with people's internet. Like, what are you thinking?
Like, yeah, think about if the I guess the international and the highways were set up like that, where it was like, hey. It's like if you know what I'm saying, for you pay for access, and the more you pay, the faster you go. The faster
and people just stuck in traffic trying to get to work.
Regular people are going to get stuck in traffic trying to do regular stuff.
December what? 14th? I said. Is that right? That's when the meeting is.
Yep, December 14th.
December 14th. Oh man, I don't know, man. I don't know. That might be a sticking point from years to come. I don't know, man. What else? What else we got? Anybody else want to call? Anybody have any questions in the chat? I don't know that Republican voters are really gonna give a shit.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, what is it going to take for them to give a shit? Who knows? Well, again, when their pain is connected to their voting decision, maybe.
Right.
And like,
what is it going to take to get them there?
And you, we did a video. Well, it wasn't really a video. It was you chopped up one of our live streams, and it was called. It was like The Pain or something.
Oh, The Pain is Coming?
The Pain is Coming.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. And I was like, when I saw that title, I was like, dang.
Yeah. Because it seems to be like the only logical thing is it seems to be that it's got to be on the way, right? It's gonna be on the way.
With as much things that are kind of being, I was about to use the term adjusted. You know what I'm saying? That just seems too nice.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's not as sinister as it should be.
No, it should be. But yeah, as much has been going on. Maybe it's not, maybe it's the same that has always been going on, but it just doesn't feel like it.
It feels like it's like more here.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh my god.
It seems like it's more.
I didn't see it like this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, that is pretty. Look, no doubt it's very scary that we are inside the first year and
something so big is about to get taken away. That's the thing. I think that's probably the. That's the. See, that's too nice. I was about to say cherry on top. I don't want to use anything that people.
That's not deserving.
That's not.
It's too understated. You know, it's
nothing that people should like. I shouldn't say that. Cherry on top. That makes it sound like it's something that's, edible.
And like we said, we've mentioned the numerous L's that this president keeps taking, but there are many things that he's been able to do that are in direct detriment.
I think
to
one
people.
of those. That's one of the things. It's like the more shit you try, the more shit might stick.
It's like you keep shooting, right?
You keep shooting,
right?
Yeah.
Basketball terminology. You keep shooting your shot, right? It's gonna go in eventually. And it's like, he's missing a whole lot of them, but he's putting some of them in, and it seems like they're all equally bad. They're all equally horrible and devastating for people, regular people.
What is that, Shamika Clemens? Have y'all touched on the Trump petition? What is that? Some sort of impeachment petition of some kind?
I wonder.
Can you elaborate, please? Please, what is that about? I have not heard about that.
I wonder how it will affect international internet.
No, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, because it's all connected.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll charge for that. Kind of like how phone companies charge different for international rates.
Yeah, it's going to have to be some kind of additional fee or something.
Ah, yeah. Shocker. Shocker. Shocker.
All about that money, man. No, you know what? And I can't even say that. It's all about that greed.
Greed.
Yeah, it's not about the money, man. About the
power control.
Need for greed,
power
man.
control.
Yeah. Yeah, they're working on dismantling the nation. They got you guys talking about some sports guy. Well, a sports father. Yeah. Exactly. Look, he's only there to entertain. That's what they put him on for. You know, he had some kind of, it's like this ongoing beef with Donald Trump. And of course, they have to put it front and center, primetime TV on CNN. Hey, watch the
theater.
Yeah, watch his car wreck. It wasn't
again, it's I still think even that in of itself, not just his tweeting about irrelevant stuff. I do think how he's fighting these little battles. I think it's important to talk about these tweets only because, like I say, I think he's an extension of us in general. Not necessarily me, you. Not. I'm just saying he is just kind of like existential figure because that's kind of what we do. That's what people. Isn't that what we do? Not just, again, I've already mentioned the petty stuff, but don't we tend to like fight battles that we are really irrelevant? Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to talk about not necessarily each tweet, but talk about what actually Trump means to a country as far as like, I don't want to say like metaphysically, but existentially maybe. You know what I'm saying?
We distract ourselves a lot.
Yeah, so
like you said, with petty petty battles.
Again, like I said, Trump is our big fat pimple, man.
But yeah, okay. So Shamika was talking about the impeachment. I guess the impeachment.
You mean the that distraction?
Yeah,
they're trying to look strong
not
against.
Going to happen.
Yeah, it's like somebody. Yeah, that's absolutely not going to happen. They know it doesn't. Not going. You know, like the Republicans have the majority, so they're not going to do shit.
Like again, we're in the first year. We're in the first year. If Republicans are going to come out against Donald Trump, it's not going to be in that first year. No.
So that's why I think it's a total distraction. And it's like
this is way too early.
It's way too early. It's like
we haven't even hit 2018.
Let's not fight the Republicans on financial reform.
I mean, Democrats don't even have a majority in either house.
Yeah, no. That's how you know it's just a show, and it's a way to distract themselves from actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. You
know what else was a show? Bernie's legislation.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Universal health care, single payer.
What happened to that?
What happened to that?
What happened
that was months ago, wasn't it? All this Democratic support, all these Democratic establishment leaders, and like, oh yeah, we're gonna co-sponsor this bill. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Yeah. Nobody cares. And of course we knew that. Come on, we've said that. Yeah, of course we support single payer. But in a time when Republicans control both houses and there is a Republican president, do we really believe Republicans are going to take a strong, like, serious look at this and be like, you know what? I feel like being objective today. This single payer thing might actually help out my constituents. Yeah, let's give it a go.
And then Trump provides them with the opportunity to, like, because right now it's, we always talk about, somebody, I guess, taking the day off at the daycare center with Trump. But think about Republicans, though. They don't have a president that can really, like, they don't have any guidance right now. You see what I'm saying? So they can try to push anything they want to, because they don't have a president that knows what he's doing or what he'll. Because although Donald Trump likes to feel like the most powerful person, he does tend to concede where power is at, and so who's ever in charge, he'll just concede to them. And so since he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, they can just put anything in front of his face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know what?
Sign this executive order.
But you know what's sad though? Seems like Republicans don't really know what the hell they're doing either.
I know.
Like what kind of state of affairs are we living in right now in 2017? You know? What is going to come in 2018?
Oh, no. Yeah, you're right, Kate. No, you are totally right. They rejected it in California. They rejected it in Colorado.
And the U.S. representatives and senators rejected as well for the whole nation. There's only a few. I mean, how many co-sponsors did he get? 12, 13, something like that? Haven't heard of any more. Maybe we need to do some research, man.
They had that big pep rally. Cory Booker.
They forgot the bobblehead. They forgot the big mascot head for Bernie. But yeah, Cory Booker looking amped up. Yeah, let's get this single payer.
I was like, dude,
like I'm leading.
Like this is like I know. Like,
this ain't my rally.
I was
right?
like, I know I called it a pep rally, but these mother looking like LeVar Ball.
Yeah,
this mother was looking like LeVar Ball.
It's like this mug just came from the gym. Had that testosterone pumping.
He was jacked up.
Man,
just got off the bench press.
Yeah, man, it was a show, man. But yeah, man, come on. We know the game. We know what Democrats do. All this political theater. We know what they do, man. All right, I think we're about to
head on out.
We're about to head on, and sadly, this will be the last broadcast of the week
because Thursday is
Turkey Day.
Yeah, not Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
it's just Turkey Day.
It's
Turkey Day where people get together and eat, and that's all.
Yeah,
beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes.
Yeah, because Thanksgiving is, come on, if you want to, come on. If you want to.
No, see, I always see some sinister shit in how they name stuff. Like, thanks for giving us your shit. That's how I always see some sinister, you know what I'm saying, reasons why. Thanks for giving us your land, buddy. Appreciate it.
Gene said, one night, could you talk about the advantages or disadvantages of a third party or merging the progressive parties together? Oh yeah, we could do that. We could probably do that in like a minute. We could probably do that in like a minute.
Oh, there you go again, dredging, showing up. You did that last time. Talking about, hey, what's up, guys? You like coming in 8 minutes after we were supposed to be done. But what's up anyway?
Gene,
cool.
I don't like. I was joking, of course, but it's just that coming from the last election in 2016 and how we had every reason as a people to actually give some to an alternate route, like we have this over here that is not part of the political establishment. Like this is a route right here. This can be what we are. Most of the country are independents. We don't need the Democrats. We don't need the Republicans.
See, the problem is that path or that road. It's like covered in overgrowth, like bushes and ivy and like just it can't. It's covered up, so it's people don't see it.
Nah, and people don't really give enough weight to it. They don't put enough weight on it. They don't treat it seriously. It's like, It doesn't matter. It looks like at this point, it doesn't matter what the candidate is and what they actually say. Because anybody Jill Stein didn't get to actually get on a debate stage with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. But if she did, I guarantee you she would have came out looking like the better candidate. There's no way she wouldn't come out looking like the better candidate. But people don't get to see that, and if they do, they're not saying like, oh, this is somebody that would be qualified for the job that looks like she knows how to handle the responsibilities. No, they already downgrade her because she doesn't have a D or an R beside her name.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take a combination of kind of visibility and education. You know what I'm saying? Because visibility itself is not going to do it. But even if you give them the same amount of time, it will help.
It will help. But how do you even get that visibility?
How do you even get the visibility?
You need some cash for that, right? You need some money, some greenbacks.
So, nah,
You need them greenbacks, right? So how do you do that if you aren't capitulating to the powers that be, or if you aren't involved in this big money grab? If you aren't involved in,
so basically, we
for
already have net neutrality, but in a different way. It's in our politics already.
Yeah, it
because it's just net neutrality is almost just like the way we practice our politics solidified in how the internet is structured. Because we already have, like,
what's the fast lane?
The fast lane.
Yeah, fast lane.
The party, two-party
Democrat
system,
and Republican.
That's the fast lane. That's
slow lanes. Everything else.
It's like
everything else.
It's political. It's like political neutrality.
No doubt. No doubt.
We don't have that. So why would we expect to have net neutrality?
Yeah. So yeah, like to look, we would all love for our reality to be that more parties are actually relevant, like actually relevant to the point to where they can actually get elected to like a state position or a national position. We would love that. But if we want to be honest, I see no evidence right now that we are anywhere close to that. Because if we were, all or most significantly, like most of Bernie supporters, what did they do? They voted for Hillary Clinton. But in that reality, we are not close whatsoever.
Again, I think
to a third party being relevant.
Another factor is not the visibility from the, I guess, money. I think there has to be leadership within parties that want actual change to kind of give these third-party visibility by promoting them with their voice as well.
Hold on, who's gonna promote them?
I'm just saying that's what would have to happen.
Hold on. What? Who would promote them?
Hopefully, there's some independents out there that really want change.
Okay.
That's what it's going to take.
Okay, yeah, okay. I thought I heard you talking about like
hitting
Democrats.
that Democratic.
I was like, whoa, hold on.
What? No.
What?
Dog. That's never going to happen, dog. That's never going to happen.
Yeah, they should be on the debate stage with us. No, that won't happen. But yeah, Gene.
No, you're right, Kate. You're right, Kate.
We understand.
Obama kind of like, left the door open. But
yeah, Gene, yeah, we understand what you want. It's something we all want. It's just like our expectations are tempered coming out of the 2016 election. It's just that we saw what happened, and it wasn't unlike any other election. That was the disappointing news. It was not unlike any other election. Third parties got a little bit more support, but in the overall scheme of things, it was the same old. So yeah, we need more options, like realistic options, like options that people actually gravitate to and actually push that button so that they actually vote for them on the ballot.
Basically, like,
close to that though.
Let their frustration guide how they press that button. Because if they're truly frustrated, they will kind of gravitate over to another option.
It would take a shift in thinking too, though. That when you're talking about the whole of America, like the voting public.
Yeah, we always talk about it. It's all about the constituency. Yeah. So yeah.
Because something that we've always addressed is that I think what grabs people, a large percentage of what grabs people is popularity. Like, you have to be somewhat of a celebrity figure, especially if you're talking about a national race, Senate, representative, president. You're gonna have to be somewhat of a celebrity.
And how is that going to happen without that person being compromised by all of that attention and notoriety,
and all that money?
All that money. So it's like, how going to have to cover
run the race?
Exactly.
We don't live in a system where that's possible right now. People, like, these candidates can get around all these rules and raise unlimited sums of money.
I think I was listening to Benjamin Dixon. It was funny he said this, because I've been thinking this like for the past decade or more, and we're talking about how do you break through if the only way you can break through is to kind of bend over.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's like you have to capitulate to the corruption in order to defeat the corruption.
Basically, like, there has to be somebody out there that's going to take the money, and then like backstab corporations.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what he said.
Like me going on Fox News, being like, "Yeah, I'm a conservative," and then one day being like, "You know what? No, I'm not." You know,
just catch him with the pants down.
Yeah. But I mean, that would be the ultimate hoodwink. You know, that would be the ultimate hoodwink. Is that? I mean, hell, I'd celebrate that move though. I mean, that'd be gutter right there, straight up. Well, I don't know. Who's gonna be the guy that does it? Who's gonna be the woman that does it? Be like, you know what?
They might get assassinated.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know. They might get killed though.
All that money involved, because they take that money. It's for a purpose. It's not just like, hey, we like you so much. It's an investment. You don't return the investment,
you're dying of a heart attack. You're dying of a heart attack.
Oh man, we laugh, man, but my gosh, right?
It's the only way we can deal with it sometimes, man.
All right, let's get out of here, and we'll get on Facebook for a little while. Like I said, this is gonna be the last broadcast until next week on Tuesday. But hope everybody does enjoy their holiday. Hope everybody maybe has a couple days off, maybe at least one day off to celebrate with the family, with friends. Just kick your feet up and relax a little bit. Just enjoy it. We'll try to as well, have a few days off, but we'll be back on Tuesday with, man, we're gonna have a week of news to kind of catch up.
Yo, we're gonna do like a 4-hour show though.
My goodness, I mean, I can imagine. I mean, sometimes we don't even get to some of the stories that we have planned, but yeah, it's gonna be a week of stuff to catch up on. But appreciate everybody that has been there, that has been here and has always been here watching us and supporting our show. All of our patrons on Patreon, thank you very much. Thank you immensely for supporting us financially. Everybody in the chat section, everybody that calls us, Ruth, thank you for calling us again. Kate, Jeremy, Jean, Terrabrate, who else is in here? Grandma Christine, can't forget about you. Dredging Rose.
Late as what?
Yeah, again.
Frosted Ambassador. I like that name. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, and Frosted Ambassador was late too, huh? Yeah. Well, it's gonna be up for a little while. Even though the last one.
I know, right?
So, yeah, but I gotta take that off. Anyway, but yeah, it'll be up for a little while too. So you can it'll process in a few minutes, and you can go back and watch the whole show. But yeah, just thank you everybody that takes the time out of their day and sits down with us for a little bit and just listens to our analysis on a whole bunch of different things. Right. We will see you next week. If you have some time, join us over on Facebook, where we'll talk for
15, 20, whatever.
15, 20, 2 hours, something like that, whatever,
wherever it goes.
Loose environment. But yeah, everybody take care and have a happy one.